This is Dr.RED Panda.
Have you ever heard of the real-life inspiration behind Wakanda? Did you know that there existed an incredibly powerful African empire in the era of Age of Exploration? One of their king's extravagant travels caused the price of gold in Europe to plummet for 12 years. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Red Panda, and in this video, we'll delve into these fascinating topics together. When we talk about the Age of Exploration, we always focus on the European powers like England, Portugal, Spain, and the Netherlands. Their adventurous spirit and their stories of conquering new territories are always talked about. However, in the same period, in faraway West Africa, there was an empire that was rich beyond compare. Its wealth was enough to make the whole of Europe take notice. This was the last great empire of West Africa, the Songhai Empire. The rise of the Songhai Empire. The Songhai people established a nation in the 7th century, but it wasn't until the 15th century that they formed a unified empire in West Africa. Although I use the term empire, it's relative to their territory because their civilization was actually lagging behind the rest of the world due to geographical limitations. Let's take a look at their geographical location. To the north lies the Sahara Desert, the largest desert in the world, making it difficult to traverse. To the south is the Niger River, the third longest river in Africa. Unlike the Nile River, which flows from south to north directly into the Mediterranean Sea, the Niger River initially flows northeast before turning southeast. Therefore, West Africans spent a long time confined to their homeland. Now let's compare this to East Africa, which lies on the same latitude. Due to its proximity to the Arab region and the north-south orientation of the Nile River, East Africa experienced the emergence of nations and cities through trade radiating from as early as BC. In contrast, West Africa's development came much later. However, everything has its pros and cons. While the Sahara Desert separated West Africa from Mediterranean civilizations, it also protected the region from large-scale invasions by colonizers. The Niger River Basin facilitated easy internal communication within West Africa. Yet, navigators from the Mediterranean found it difficult to penetrate inland via the Niger River, limiting their interactions mainly to coastal areas. Meanwhile, West Africans continued to access external wealth and civilization through trans-Saharan trade, ensuring a steady influx of knowledge and technology from Europe and the Middle East. Additionally, the presence of salt mines in the northern desert regions, gold in the southern regions, abundant slave resources in Black Africa, and agricultural output along the Niger River provided the material foundation for the establishment of the Songhai Empire. At that time, the only rival of the Songhai people was another Black African empire of the era, the Mali Empire. Rising in the 13th century, the Mali Empire centered around Timbuktu on the middle reaches of the Niger River and almost entirely controlled the fertile lands near the river basin. The monarch mentioned at the beginning of the video, who caused the devaluation of European gold for 12 years, was Mansa Musa, the ruler of the Mali Empire. From 1324 to 1326, Mansa Musa embarked on a pilgrimage to Mecca, leading a procession of 500 people at the forefront, carrying golden insignia. Each person carried 6 pounds of gold. Following them were 100 camels laden with gold, with each carrying 300 pounds of gold. Behind them were 1,000 camels carrying food, gifts, and a large number of attendants, including wives and servants adorned in gold jewelry, totaling 8,000 people. They squandered lavishly along the way, making the whole world aware of the abundant gold in West Africa. This not only made Timbuktu, located deep in the African interior, a renowned city of gold in the Islamic world, on par with Baghdad, Cairo, and Damascus, but also prompted subsequent Portuguese expeditions southward in search of gold, heralding the beginning of the Age of Discovery. In the 15th century, due to ongoing power struggles, the Mali Empire rapidly declined and was ultimately breached by the nomadic Tuareg people from the northern desert regions, who seized its capital, Timbuktu. Seizing the opportunity, the Songhai people in the east swiftly expanded, driving out the Tuareg and continuing to push westward against the remnants of the Malian forces, eventually replacing the Mali Empire as the dominant power in West Africa. The Golden Age of the Songhai Empire. The Songhai Empire was established in 1493, with Muhammad Daur as an exceptionally capable and wise monarch. Under his leadership, the Songhai Empire reached its zenith, becoming the largest and most powerful nation in West African history. In 1496, Muhammad Daur, following the example of Mali's ruler Mansa Musa, embarked on a pilgrimage to Mecca, essentially signaling to the world that there was a new hegemon in West Africa. The Songhai Empire was the first to extend its influence across the Sahara Desert, controlling the Tagaza salt mines, situated adjacent to the borders of Morocco, greatly unsettled the Moroccans. Moreover, the ruler Askia Ishaq I, first of Songhai organized cavalry raids on cities in southern Morocco, exacerbating Moroccan unease. In pursuit of tranquility along the southern borders, but more importantly, for control over the white gold, salt, Moroccans attempted to wrest control of the Tagaza salt mines from the Songhai. In fact, for decades prior, Moroccans had coveted the salt mines held by the Songhai. However, due to the constraints of internal and external conflicts, they lacked the manpower. Even if a few managed to occupy the mines temporarily, they were eventually repelled by reinforcements from Songhai. Therefore, in 1578, the Moroccan ruler Ahmed al-Mansur changed tactics from using force to acquire the salt mines. He paid 1,000 dinars to the Songhai Empire for a year's rights to exploit the mines. Mansur was overwhelmed with happiness the moment he took over the mines. Why? Because he realized just how lucrative they were. If he owned the mines outright, he could make even more profit. By 1589, Mansur of Morocco sent a final ultimatum to Ishaq II, arrogantly demanding territorial concessions and recognition of Morocco's suzerainty. This enraged Ishaq II, who sent back a strongly worded, insulting reply, refusing to entertain Morocco's demands. Mansur seized upon this insult as a perfect pretext for war. At the end of 1590, Mansur declared war on Songhai, citing the humiliation of Ishaq II as pretext. The meticulously prepared Moroccan army began its march southward from the capital, Marrakesh. Comprised primarily of European mercenaries, war captives, and apostates, totaling no more than 2,500, they were armed mainly with imported matchlock guns and arrows. 1,500 traditional Moorish light cavalrymen were tasked with flank protection and vanguard duties, while the expeditionary force also included 8 cannons imported from England for siege and fire support. While the force seemed relatively small at first glance, to deploy it southward, Moroccans had prepared 8,000 camels and 1,000 dromedaries to transport supplies, accompanied by 1,000 camel drivers and 600 laborers. This was a lesson learned from years of failed southern raids. On the Songhai side, despite the tough talk, it was evident that Ishaq II did not perceive the Moroccan threat seriously. Previous Moroccan incursions had become almost routine for the Songhai, especially amid ongoing civil strife. The Moroccans' negligence allowed their army to advance all the way to the vicinity of the capital, Gao. The Songhai army had mobilized and positioned themselves near Tangdabi to repel the invaders. Comprised of 10,000 to 18,000 cavalry and around 30,000 infantry, the Songhai forces seemed capable of withstanding the enemy assault. Furthermore, Emperor Ishaq II personally led a contingent of 1,000 elite guards positioned at the rear of the army. Despite the numerical advantage, Ishaq II failed to anticipate the invaders' tactics or adopt a strategy of exploiting their own advantages. As the two armies faced off, Ishaq II made the grave error of deploying a cattle formation. He ordered the cattle to be lined up in front of the troops, intending for them to stampede towards the enemy upon hearing the signal to attack, causing chaos among the enemy ranks. However, the thunderous roar of cannons and the continuous volleys of gunfire from the Moroccan troops threw the Songhai forces into disarray. The driven cattle, instinctively seeking safety, veered uncontrollably and charged back into the Songhai lines. Despite the injuries inflicted by their own cattle, the fragmented Songhai soldiers launched desperate charges against the Moroccan forces. However, under the relentless barrage of gunfire from the Moroccan musketeers, the already weakened Songhai ranks suffered heavy losses. Ultimately, the Moroccan forces capitalized on their advantage, pursuing the shattered Songhai army to victory. The decline and fall of the Songhai Empire. After the Battle of Tanjibit, despite significant losses, the Songhai forces remained intact. However, at this juncture, Ishaq II did not organize a counterattack but instead humiliated himself by pleading for peace with Morocco, offering 100,000 gold coins and 1,000 slaves for the Moroccan troops to withdraw. Yet, comparing 100,000 gold coins to West Africa's gold mines was like comparing apples to oranges. Moroccan ruler Mansour refused to negotiate. Eventually, Moroccan forces marched on cities like Timbuktu, Tougou, and Jen. For the Moroccans, occupation wasn't easy. Continuous unrest and rebellions turned governing the former Songhai Empire into a nightmare, and decades later, the Moroccans withdrew. However, the Songhai Empire couldn't revive itself. It fragmented into dozens of smaller kingdoms, some attempting to carry on the Songhai legacy. These states eventually fell into French hands during the colonial era, marking the end of the Songhai Empire. And that's a wrap for this episode of the video. I'm DR.RED Panda. If any of you have your own perspectives or if you think there are any errors in the video, feel free to leave a comment in the discussion section. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Until next time, take care.